Welcome, everybody, to another episode of 3 Minute Marketing. I'm your main man, Chris Mechanic here, co-founder at Web Mechanics, veteran performance marketer, and generally nerdy person. Super excited today to have Niki Hall on the show with us. Niki's a very impressive individual. She is currently CMO at Contentsquare, which is a digital experience analytics platform that empowers growth teams with the data that they need to increase revenue, engagement, and growth. Prior to that, Niki has been with, the who's of B2B tech brands, Cisco, Polycom, Five9, Celigent, and just, steadily doing awesome things and posting big wins. And she's also a member of the CMO Council North America Advisory Board and an official member of the Forbes Communication Council. Welcome to the show, Niki.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Absolutely. Super excited to have you. Well, I know that you're very, very busy, and I know that everybody is really eager to get to the topic of today's show. So without further ado, I've got your question for you. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. So talk to me just a bit about ContentSquare's growth journey, and dive into this concept of the speed of growth. And also just comment on what are the important factors of growth that that marketing leaders should consider along the way.
Okay. Yeah. So ContentSquare was founded in 2012 and as a digital experience analytics platform, as you mentioned. And we have steadily been growing year over year, experiencing massive growth. Of note over the past year, when the pandemic hit us, businesses were struggling to figure out their customers and how to stay afloat. And if you don't have a solution like the ContentSquare platform, which literally just deciphers experiences one has with the brand, every touch point, click, mouse hover, blah, 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 you don't understand your customer. So 2020 was a massive year of growth for ContentSquare as driven by the pandemic.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then talk to us a little bit about your concept of the speed of growth. Like, what should determine that speed of growth? Is it always just hair raising, hair on fire, as fast as possible?
Yeah. In my experience, speed of growth is super critical, but what you really need to have is a vision. You need to have a vision with a strategy and a purpose. If you know what success looks like, then it's pretty easy to get there. And as a CMO, it's my job to work with my team to figure out what are the business objectives, ensure our vision maps to those, and we have a strategy to achieve that. So speed is important, but I would say more of a sense of urgency with preciseness. That's what I'm always kind of mentoring and coaching my team on. Like, we need to have a sense of urgency, we need to have a purpose, and it needs to align to the vision.
Yep. I love that. Yeah. Walk with a purpose. That's great. And what are some other critical factors in growing? I mean, you guys have grown leaps and bounds. Like, let's say somebody's at the precipice of that growth phase. What are some other important factors that they should consider?
Yeah. Well, number one, I'm always vision, right? Aligning to a vision, ensuring you have the right strategy aligned to that to achieve those goals, and how you'll measure over time, big rolling 4-quarter plan. So as companies are growing, it's important to not just knee-jerk reaction on things, but be super true to that vision and strategy to achieve it. And check in with the teams, check in with your peers to make sure you're all aligned. So it's actually one company moving forward in a direction through a lot of growth.
Yep. And now, how do you handle different personalities? So say that somebody, change is difficult for them, but they've got great talent. How do you handle fast change among your team?
Yeah, coaching for success. I'm a big believer in coaching for success and doing skills finder. We're the strength finder exercise. We're going through it right now. I have a large global marketing team, and we're looking at what are the skills people have, because you need a 360-degree view. You need some strategic, some tactical, etc. So it's really coaching everyone for success and using tools like the strength finder to do it.
I love it. Well, hey, Niki, if you can stick around for a few minutes, I would love to continue our conversation. If we do that, there should be some links in the show notes. But otherwise, how can people learn more about you and ContentSquare?
Yeah, go to ContentSquare.com. And literally every company that has been digitally transformed is using a solution like ours. So definitely check it out. We have awesome customers who love us. It's all on the website, from Verizon to Microsoft to BMW, L'Oreal, Chanel, blah, blah, you name it.
The site's really nice too. Really, really well done. So I know that you're there, you've been there 6 months in the role. What's big on your mind these days? Like, what are your top priorities or your top sources of heartburn or wherever? What are you thinking about?
No, my top priority really has been building out a marketing strategy to achieve this massive growth. Because we've grown so quick, it was just, it was explosive, if you will, right? The growth. And so they brought me in to help kind of put a strategy around it to help us go to our next phase. We've, passed the 100 million ARR mark, which is awesome. And now our growth is just going to continue like light speed ahead. So my big role is building out the team, building out the marketing strategy, the operational efficiency, measurements, ROI per channel. How do you increase lifetime value of a customer, reduce customer acquisition costs, all of that fun stuff.
Yeah, no, that sounds like a big job. Are you, what do you credit to your growth to date? Is it like mostly marketing inbound driven, or is it mostly a sales team that's driving a lot of the growth?
It's a mix. It's a mix between marketing. Marketing sources roughly 50 to 60% of the pipe, depending upon what region. And doc, it's about 70%. So it just kind of, it's inbound, it's outbound, and increasingly, they brought me in to help build the brand so people can know about us. And we were founded in France. So in France, everyone knows Contentsquare. And Jonathan Turkey, the CEO, he's like a celebrity over there. So I need to take all those fabulous ingredients we have and permeate it globally. In APAC, is just opened an office and a couple offices in APAC and Singapore and Australia, and then also in North America.
Mm-hmm. Now, when you think about your marketing organization, do you have like a brand communications team separate from like a performance or demand gen team, or do you blend them all together?
Yeah, it is separate. What I came into, because we've had massive growth in what we call Western Europe, which is France, Italy, Spain, et cetera. Great, super talented team. And then ContentSquare decided it was going to expand to Northern Europe, London, Benelux, et cetera. So they duplicated the team, same thing with DACH, APAC, North America. What we didn't have was what you just said. We didn't have corporate marketing, which was brand, comms, social media. We didn't have performance and growth. Each team had their own demand gen strategies. So when you're trying to ask people to be everything to everyone, it doesn't typically work. So my expectations of this model, as we've evolved to global centers of excellence, is the regional folks know their region inside and out. You need to know France inside and out, what works in France, what influencers, if influencers work there. Same thing with the Nordics, et cetera. And then these centers of excellence, performance and growth, brand, comms, social media, they're the ones who know all the functional expertise to enable the regions to hit their pipeline targets.
Interesting view of the world.
Yeah, it's good. It's because what it does is it enables everyone to play their position and to be experts in their area, their domain expertise, if you will.
Yep. Yeah, and I'm traditionally from a performance background, so the idea of brand and comms is like a little bit foreign to my thinking. But how do you determine whether brand and comms is doing a good job? Like, how do you measure that?
Yeah, so we have a formula. We had a methodology for this company. Like every company is different. Yeah. We have a total of 5 like Uber priorities that we measure for marketing for where ContentSquare is in its journey. And with brand and comms, it's largely around raising the awareness in North America because we believe that's going to be the largest growth opportunity for us. We have to continue the cadence in some of the areas where we already have high brand awareness, but it's it's measuring the number of customer wins. So we have tons of customers who love us. So we started a weekly cadence of customer wins. So it's via their voice, not our voice, but the customer's voice saying, why they chose ContentSquare, why they continue to do business with ContentSquare, and the quantifiable metrics they receive because of it. So things such as that. And it's really, it's helped a lot. I mean, imagine a weekly cadence of a win coming across the wire.
Yeah.
And if you don't know ContentSquare, pretty soon you will. You'll hear about it, and it's through other people's voice.
Yep. Yeah, 100%. And there was the CMO of Gong, Udi Lederer, was on recently, and surprisingly, he said one of his top 5 marketing techniques was to go with your gut and like not be so data obsessed. And he gave an example that they actually did a Super Bowl commercial, which is like almost, impossible to measure granularly, but, multiple sales reps reported, hey, I got more, calls from prospects than I ever have before. And, like they got write-ups here, write-ups there. So they anecdotally were like, that was one of the best decisions ever. And everybody agrees, but nobody can point to one thing and say, hey, that's what it was.
Yeah, it is hard. But early on in my career, one of my CEOs was Peter Leave. He's now CEO of McAfee, and he was very numeric. And this is when I was at Polycom. I was VP of corporate marketing. So I had to learn, in order to relate with Peter, I had to talk in numbers. So, and I was responsible for the brand at that point. So how do you quantify the brand and have a conversation with the CEO to get him leaning in and caring? So I had to learn early on how to be super data obsessed about everything. And actually, and luckily, Jonathan Cherky, my CEO now, I mean, he's super data obsessed, and that's why he created ContentSquare. And it works. You can actually measure pretty much everything in marketing if you have the right tools, the right process, attribution, et cetera.
Yeah, 100%. And I think, even at a simple level, like you could use Google Trends or any type of Google keyword tool to just say, hey, what's our branded search volume in this region or that? At the simplest level. Speaking of tools, though, what tells a little bit about your tech stack? Like, what tools and tech can you not live without?
Yeah, definitely ContentSquare, and ContentSquare. And it's funny, when I interviewed for this role, I understand why they need to raise the brand in North America, because I've been a marketing leader in North America for many years, and I've never heard of ContentSquare. And my very first interview was with Jonathan Cherky, the CEO. And I said, well, show me the solution. Because when I choose a company, the company has to have great culture, awesome products, high growth, et cetera, et cetera. I have the top 5. And when he showed me the products, I was like, oh my goodness, how come I've never known about this? Like, I've used other analytic functions, but tools, and it will give me heat map. But this one literally quantifies. It quantifies the opportunity you're leaving on the table if you don't address it. So, so definitely ContentSquare and ContentSquare, and then all your other traditional, Salesforce, everything else that most companies have.
I'm curious, what do you use like your dashboard? Like you come into work on a Monday, or before you leave on a Friday. Like, what components do you have on your exec level dashboard?
Yeah, and we've just built this out, because that was my first hire, was a head of marketing operations planning and strategy, a MOPS person. And she's amazing, because if you don't know your baseline, how do you know what success looks like and how to achieve it? So she built out a dashboard for me, and we just hired a BI person. So today it's just Salesforce, which is fine. It's good. It gives me something to show where are we from a SAL perspective, ACV perspective, but over time, they're building out all the aspects that I need around brand, comms, demand gen targeted to the customer journey, so all of those elements. Right now, it's because we've grown pretty quickly. We've used Excel up to this point, which is not the most it's not the most sexy thing to use, but at least it gives me some visibility to what are the, metrics per area, how are we achieving against it quarter over quarter, year over year. And Diana, my head of MOPS, she's building that out into true dashboards for me.
Yeah. So in your 6 months there, I know that 6 months isn't a lot of time, but have you put anything in place, or has something maybe already been in place that you discovered that was like, that you viewed to be, pretty advanced or next level or interesting or cool?
I would say, I mean, I don't mean to keep giving it a plug, but the reason why I joined this company is when I saw the tech, I'm like, so the ContentSquare and ContentSquare, that solution is super awesome. I mean, since you grew up in, you said digital marketing, you need to check it out. It's really cool.
Yeah, 100%.
Even more than just anyone, it's not just digital marketers, it's anyone who cares about data. We collect trillions of data points every single day, not on the actual individual, but the movement, everything else. So I would say that's probably the thing that I've been most passionate about. I mean, there's other things. We're doing a market intelligence project so we can figure out the TAM and the CAGR and the penetration. So that's cool that my team's leading. But yeah, there you go.
Let's talk about the product because it is sick. I've never used it actually, but I'd love to.
We need to get you a demo. You see that button that says "Get a demo"? You need to click it.
Yeah, 100%. And I do love, look at this demo request page. How clean is this? I love how you have the subtle directional cue here pointing to the optional field.
Yeah, and we're just implementing something new this week to reduce form fill friction. I can't recall the name of the solution. My head of performance and growth team, they're doing it. But that should even reduce that form fill friction to have greater conversion as well.
Yeah, they may be using a Clearbit or a data append because
it's Clearbit, yeah.
Yeah, and then, if you're getting work email, then you can easily pull first name, last name, company, job title.
Exactly. Yep.
So you could basically just have work email.
Yes. And we weren't using, we didn't have, you see right there on the left, leader and G2 and all that. We weren't using that. And which is so interesting because we have so many customers who love us. I was on a cab last week for Europe and then a cab kickoff the week before for North America. And there's so many customers who love us and said they can't run their business without us. Yet we weren't marketing it. And so now we have a direct focus on, incenting, the customers to say, please write a review. And also a review in general, but also the Gartner Peer Insights, because what's new this year with Gartner MQ, the Magic Quadrant, they no longer ask companies to submit names of customers that they will then call. They actually use the Gartner Peer Insights to figure it out.
Yep. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. While you're at it, implementing Clearbit, there's some other interesting things you can do with dynamic content, like in the realm of personalizing for a firm or by the firm name or personalizing even by other firmographics such as industry and such. There's this thing, I think it's this tool. Is it conversion.ai? No, that's not it.
I know NAM-based, they do reverse IP lookup and all that, right? Is that what you mean, or?
Yep. Yeah. Okay. Well, and Clearbit can do that too. So you can use Clearbit to customize the content on your site by, say, vertical. And it doesn't match every single visitor. It might match 50% of the visitors or something. And you can, display their company name, or you can display vertical, or you can add them to retargeting lists by vertical and show, healthcare retargeting ads focused around healthcare versus, business services, something else.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you should definitely request that demo on ContentSquare.
I should. Yeah. And I'll tell you one other thing that you may want to test that we did before on a demo request page, because we have a segment of clients in the B2B SaaS space. We added an option to have the in-person demo or to view a pre-recorded demo. Overnight, the overall conversion rate just skyrocketed with many people choosing the pre-recorded demo. And in this particular case, the sell-through rate, the conversion of that lead to a deal remained steady enough that it made sense, but it was a lower ticket product. So, you would, if you did that, you would almost certainly get more conversions on this page, but you would then just need to make sure to measure the personal demo to purchase rate versus the pre-recorded demo. You know what I mean?
Interesting. Yeah. We'll try that. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, I've done a lot of talking here. Do you, and I know that we're almost up on time, do you have any questions, or do you have any topics on your mind you want to bring up, or any closing thoughts?
No, I would just say any company that's been digitally transformed, and literally it's been every company, should definitely check out a solution such as this. Definitely check out ContentSquare to figure out how you understand your customers. And I would say do business with people who are actually doing good. We acquired a company that does web accessibility, so digital accessibility for all, that you can just put a plugin in and your site will then be accessible for people who might be, have dyslexic, who might be, you can't see very different things.
Mhm.
And so, today a product is a product is a product, but I think people want to do business with people who are doing good, socially good in the world. So it's another reason to check out ContentSquare.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much, Nikki. I really appreciate your time. I know you got a lot of stuff to do, so I really enjoyed the combo, and I hope you'll come back sometime.
Yeah, thank you very much.
All right.